Good afternoon. How are you? Well, the weather's beautiful here, and here is Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm on the campus in Blacksburg, and I'm not here for academic restoration or to be under this fabulous tree here, but Holly and I are making an escape to Georgia. Now, when I say we're making an escape, when we planned this, there was no Helene in our future, but we decided we would see if we could escape to this mountain cabin if Helene passed through safely where we expect this mountain cabin is near the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. All that may sound silly. So, sort of like more heroic people may run into a burning building or some chase hurricanes, we decided to drive in the direction of Georgia and to stop here so that we could see if the situation got better, and if that didn't work, we would take our retreat someplace else. So it's a long story to say that. The kind of news today that catches our attention is what's happening with, say, Zelensky, who's had his meeting with Biden, and their relationships become tense because, in my opinion, Biden's in a difficult, if not impossible, situation. Because I don't think we should be committing an act of war by supporting an action that's not defensive. You could call it anticipatory defensive because you've seen what's happened. But we are doing the best that we can, if you will, which sadly is subject to criticism because how can we not strike a magical pose and have this all work away? Now, Zelensky really has no place to go because we've been their allies, though not formally by any agreement, not NATO or anything like that, and we have supported their position with defensive weaponry, I'm sure, and advice, and some other things as well. Trump, on the other hand, says, if I win this election, in no time I'll be able to settle it. And what he's basically saying is a settlement that would take the land from Ukraine and give it to and from Zelensky and give it to Putin. So that's a situation that it seems to me is paralyzed politically, and if Trump has any chance of winning and does win, well, then Zelensky is going to be hard fought. And it's interesting that this thing all started, it seems, over whether or not Zelensky could produce evidence against Biden and his son in the last election, 2020. So, now, I don't know how you feel, but I get very upset when I hear hosts saying the Department of Justice is doing a good job, as evidenced by the fact they're going after Eric Adams, now the mayor of New York. Now, consider the fact that the Justice Department seems to find it easy to see that campus building, and that's terrific, make you feel like you're back in college. So what you have is, what has Garland done? He slept years without doing anything against Trump and his aides, his corrupt aides, and then only after Congress comes out with a report that's embarrassing and humiliating do they begin an investigation. And now we're running up against the clock. And so because of the laziness and failure to fulfill his role as a chief law enforcement officer, Trump has used this to his advantage, particularly with appointees to the court that he made, including the highest court in the land. So when you hear a host say what a good job Garland did going after Eric Adams, proving the Department of Justice is fair, stop the music. Yeah, they also went against Menendez. They also went against Hunter Biden, but they seem to falter when it comes having anything to do with Trump. And I think part of that has to be, well, let's put it this way. Number one, he's failed as a law enforcement officer. He should just go sit in his room and sleep. It would be safer if he wasn't active. And if the next president, our president, Kamala, appoints him, we got to rise up and tell her that's a wrong first decision, or among your first decisions. It's just not right. So we're part where we are because Garland didn't do his job, and people didn't expect or know that that was going to happen, but it certainly has. And it's interesting how Adams seems to do the same thing that Trump is now seen doing, which is namely using foreign, well, they're used to bribery, they say, in other countries. Well, we're earning our own reputation in that regard, given what Trump has done, what Adams has done, what Menendez has done. So, and then finally, this quixotic trip of ours to go to Georgia right after there's been this hurricane. It's not chasing the hurricane as much as prior plans being adjusted by this natural hazard. Gaia is upset. Nature is upset. We humans have compromised it and reconditioned it so that storms like this can exist, the worst ever, they say. Deaths in Georgia. Impossible destruction, hard to believe. Impassable roads, fallen trees, floods, enormous floods, and people dead. So, we're here at this campus, and we're going to hang out tonight, and if we can figure out a way, we're going to go to this cabin in the woods, not far from the beginning of the Appalachian Trail, and maybe just take a picture there. So, I hope things are going well for you, but think of the poor people that are suffering from our failures as a nation. The world is a failure to deal with the environmental problems that we face, that are here, sure as shooting. We see them, and we don't act upon them. So, I say goodbye to you in my, well, it's not a cathedral, but it is an array of trees and education, and it's a kick to see students running, carrying books around, and so forth. It's, we'll have to come back for some lectures or some other amusing intellectual release from what we do day to day. So all the best. Talk to you tomorrow if I can. Bye-bye.